As satisfied women, we love joy and creativity. So, on today's podcast, I'd like to present you with 5 ways to elevate joy and creativity in your life. Welcome to the Satisfied Woman podcast. I'm your host, Alanna Kaivalya. This podcast is dedicated to helping women lean into their femininity and rediscover the power of their feminine gifts. We take a look at what it means to be a modern woman and how we can live a satisfied life on our own terms. Visit the hub at thesatisfiedwoman.com. The heart of femininity is joy and creativity. Femininity has many, many qualities, of course, and we can list all of them. The 2 most important ones that you'll hear me talk about a lot are our sense of intuition and our emotions. When we tap into our intuition and feel our emotions fully, we are in our feminine. And the response of that, the effect of that, is the feeling of joy and the access to creativity. Let me explain joy for a moment for the feminine woman. As a feminine woman, we experience joy through our bodies. Our gift, one of our gifts, because we have many, one of our gifts is the ability to run pleasure through our bodies. Now, this isn't just in a sexual sense, although it is also in a sexual sense. This is in a life-affirming sense. When we are engaged with life, when we feel safe, secure, when we are being cherished, when we have trust in our world, our relationships, our environment, we have the ability to run joy and feel pleasure in our bodies. That's really going to be a hallmark of the vital sense and source of our womanhood. In my book, The Way of the Satisfied Woman, I talk about the 4 keys for a woman to live a satisfied life. I just listed them a moment ago, but let me give them to you in a real, concrete way. The 4 keys are to have a sense of safety, and safety is different for all of us. Some of us feel safe in one circumstance or in another circumstance. So you'll determine and decide what safety means to you. But when you feel safe, that's key number 1. Security is another one. And again, that is self-defined. You may feel secure in one way and another woman will feel secure in a different way. It's up to you. There's no rules around it. But when you feel secure, you have key number 2. When you are being cherished by the world around you and particularly by your relationships with the masculine, whether that be a masculine man or a masculine woman, anybody. To be cherished means that the world around you, the places you find yourselves in, honor your emotion and your intuition. They honor your emotions. They allow you to emote. And most importantly, to be cherished is to never be left alone in your emotions. That you are supported by the masculine in finding a resolution for whatever is causing the emotional turmoil or stress within you. And trust, that you trust yourself and that you are trusted, that when you have that intuitive hit, that your community, your relationships, the people you love around you, they trust you, your intuition, and they honor that. They respond to it. Okay, so the 4 keys for a woman to be fully in her feminine, to feel that sense of joy and creativity, to access that incredible joy and creativity that we can feel and experience in life as a feminine woman, require us to have trust, to be cherished by the community around us, to have safety and a sense of security. Now, achieving those 4 things can be a constant moving target. They're an ever-evolving process. They are self-defined, and they will be found for you on your terms as a woman. But those are the 4 keys. When we have security, safety, trust, and cherishing, then we have access to our joy and creativity. So joy is that pleasure running through our body. When we feel safe to feel that pleasure running through our body, whether it be sexually or simply just in a life-affirming way, we feel revitalized by it. And what's amazing about a woman who can feel joy and pleasure is that it feeds the joy and pleasure of those around her. So you can do it by yourself, of course. You can be in a situation where you are reveling in life in some extraordinary way. But Oftentimes, women will feel and experience the most joy and pleasure when they are in community with another or others. Others will benefit from that. This is the great thing about a woman really leaning into her femininity and being in her womanhood, is that everyone around her benefits. There's nothing more joy inspiring than the feminine experiencing its own joy and pleasure. I think about an easy way to understand this, the way that I think about it is children. Children are like little sources of joy and pleasure, and they are spontaneous and imaginative and creative. All children, for the most part, all children under 10, about the age of 10, are in the feminine. They just are. They're in that playful, imaginative, creative mode. They're not responsible for paying bills. They're not trying to nurture and grow and accomplish things. They're in their feminine. And they're so joy-filled. They're inspiring to be around. This is why adults love being with children, because it helps us reconnect to that joy and creativity, whether we are in a man's body or a woman's body, whether we identify ourselves as feminine or masculine, whatever our primary polarity is. To be around children is inspiring and joy-filled. But women can have that same effect on others, even as we're experiencing that in a life-affirming way ourselves. Now, creativity is the wellspring of the feminine. You'll hear me talk about the feminine as a well often. When our well is full, others can drink from it, and we feel nourished by that. A lot of self-care will do that. Creativity will do that. Now, I myself don't identify as a creative person necessarily. I can't paint to save my life. I can't draw anything. I don't know how to put colors together. I can't decorate my own home. I don't have that aesthetic sense of creativity. I'm creative in other ways, I guess, but don't be intimidated if that's you, if you feel like, oh God, I have to do art now to be creative. No. It's not about art or the type of art. Creativity is fed through imagination. So when you're tapped into your imagination, whatever makes you feel creative will come forth. Maybe it's putting together a killer outfit. Maybe it's being the hostess with the mostess for a party. Maybe, I don't know what it is. The whole point of creativity is that it doesn't fit in a box. It comes from something else, something inside of you. Imagination comes from your soul. In psychological terms, we talk about imagination coming from the unconscious. The unconscious is the domain of the feminine. Conscious is masculine, unconscious is feminine. So when we're living in the unconscious, when we're tapped into our imagination in whatever way that is, whatever outlet, however that comes forth from within us, then we are being creative. It is unrestricted, unboxed imagination and the freedom to be able to access it. Now, when we live life on masculine terms, there's a lot of boxes. There's a lot of rules. There's not a lot of imagination and creativity. So we need to get into that place of creativity in order to really feel vibrant and vitalized in our femininity. So I promised you a list of 5. This is where we are in our world today. We love listicles. We love things being packaged in that way, and I'm happy to accommodate. Let me do that for you. So the 5 ways to tap into your joy and creativity outside, once we have those 4 keys present: trust, cherishing, safety, security. Okay, nothing happens without those. Right? So we're going to assume the 4 keys are present, and then let's move into what creates joy and creativity for the feminine woman. Number 1, seek that source of your creativity. I defined creativity for you as that ability to tap into your imagination, but I don't know what that is for you. It doesn't have to be art. It's literally anything that enlivens and brings forth your imagination, uncontained space. So giving yourself the freedom of time, the freedom of no restrictions, Imagination comes from your unconscious. It's the feminine resource, and it's the birthplace of all new ideas. So creativity can just be a new idea in some regard that you're passionate about. There's no rules, there's no limits, there's no boundaries. So to be in that imaginative space for a woman is incredibly nourishing. The more often you can be in that space, the better. Now, we live life. All of us live life. There's going to be times in our day where we need to bring forth our masculine, when we need to bring forth our feminine. We may not be able to live in that wonderful creative space 100% of the time. My recommendation to you is to get there as often as you can. So that's step number 1, to bring forth joy and creativity. Number 2 is to embrace the value of no. I know as a woman that no can be scary because we say yes far too often. We're almost indoctrinated into yes. As young girls, we are taught, we're told, we're enculturated into yes being a source of value. But that leads to overextension. It leads to saying yes to things that don't feel good to us. It leads to us being burnt out. It leads to us being inauthentic. We often say yes for fear of being needed. That if we say no, that those around us suddenly won't need us and we will be discarded. This is valid because this has happened to women often, not just in the past, but now. Thankfully, we are starting to live in a time where we have more agency, more value, more choices, more power. Now, there's another podcast where I talk about empowerment and how to know that you're empowered. But when you are empowered, and the secret here is that you are always empowered, no is incredibly important. We say yes because we are trained to be all things to all people at all times, but that is not sustainable. Yes leads to inauthenticity, burnout, and probably most detrimentally, it leads to unmet needs. In my research, getting your needs met as a human is perhaps the most important thing. So, and frankly, satisfaction is defined as the fulfillment of our wishes and needs. We cannot be satisfied women if we are not getting our needs met. And we often do not get our needs met amazingly through yes. We get it met through no. So learn the power of no. Embrace the value of no and start to say no to whatever it is that doesn't feed your soul, that doesn't allow for creativity, that doesn't bring you joy. No is going to keep you authentic and leave you empowered to say yes to what does feed your soul. All right, number 3. Ready for this one? Stop giving any fucks about what other people think. A lot of our enculturation and early training as a woman is to respond to others' judgments of us. It's okay to stop. I'm giving you permission to stop. You don't have to do that anymore. It's not about what other people think. In fact, I want to share with you a really wonderful birthday gift I received from my masculine counterpart, my beloved. He gave me a bucket, and in it are little carved wooden fucks, like the word fuck. There's probably 100 of them in this bucket. And he gave it to me because he loves the fact that I very rarely have fucks to give unless I actually care about something. So he's like, here you go. Now you can pass them out at will. You can take them back. I sprinkle them on my computer when I'm writing. I'll give him one when I'm caring about something. It's just a little joke between us. But I thought it was a really wonderful signifier that he understands this, not just about me, but about femininity, that we don't have to care about everyone else. And social media is so toxic when it comes to this point. Social media, the foundation of it is built on likes and dislikes, built on trying to care about the approval of others we don't even know. It sets us up for failure in this regard. And we don't need it. It's one of the reasons why I don't engage in social media, because you can look at the studies. This isn't me just with my own opinion. Studies show that the effects of social media on a woman are detrimental. Our emotions, particularly young women. Social media is incredibly detrimental for us. It's difficult to be empowered in the social media space, and so I have chosen to opt out. It's a huge part of my value system and something that I employ in this business. So if you don't find me on social media, now you know why. The approval I care most about is my own. It's the only bar we should measure ourselves by is our own bar. Maybe we'll give some fucks to those we love and to those we trust. Yeah, okay. We can ask for their opinions here and there and respond to their opinions about things for us and in our lives. And we'll expand that circle of trust and approval really delicately and really discerningly. All right, number 4 on our path to creativity and joy is that emotions are better out than in. I want to tell you about a very dear friend of mine who I value so highly because she, more than any other woman in my life, emotes. She emotes freely, and she's cultivated a space and community around her that value her for that. Everyone understands that her emotions are powerful, but that they're also safe. They're also true. They're also appropriate. And I'm inspired by her. I write about her in my book, actually, The Way of the Satisfied Woman. You'll see a little note about her. She's wonderful. And she sets the bar for me. That this is what we as women, all of us women, need to do. Find spaces where it's safe to emote, because emotions are the communication system from our soul. They guide us toward our sense of safety and comfort. Remember those 4 keys? You'll know that you're safe and comfortable through your emotions. When your emotions start to speak to you, it's communication that maybe safety and comfort are at risk and something needs to change. They guide us to what allows our feminine to flourish. Emotions are powerful, though. That's why our culture often categorizes them as scary. They destabilize. They can be an affront to other people who are not prepared for them. But you know what? That's those other people's problem. If they're not prepared for our emotions, if they can't handle what our emotions are communicating, then that's their work, not ours. It's not ours to repress our emotions to try and keep other people comfortable. Our emotions are pointing us to what will keep us comfortable. And remember, when a woman is safe, secure, cherished, and trusted, when she has that ability to access her joy and creativity, not only does she flourish, but everyone around her does. So, maybe consider leaving behind people, situations, relationships that don't allow you to emote and flourish in your emotions. Just consider that. Just start noticing and make good decisions as a result. All right, number 5 for joy and creativity. Your intuition is your best friend. There will never be a scenario where you ignore your intuition and don't regret it. You will always regret not listening to your intuition. I know that from personal experience, and I know that from the research. Your intuition is there for a reason. It's your ancestry, all of the women who lived before you and survived. They are communicating through time, through epigenetics, through your DNA, through your cellular structure, and they're showing up for you. I actually sometimes hear my intuition as the voice of my beloved grandmother. And I don't ignore that anymore. I have in the past. I'm sure you have too. It always leads to, something not good. When you ignore your intuition, you're ignoring your own path. You're ignoring your femininity. Interestingly, your intuition will often feel like discomfort, like your spidey sense triggers and comes up when you're kind of uncomfortable. And what that's calling you to do, and what that's calling the masculine around you to do, is to course correct. Discomfort for a woman means that the path needs to be adjusted. It begins a process of inquiry. And this is often going to be uncomfortable for the masculine because the masculine likes to stay on a straight road and get to the finish line. We love the masculine for that. The masculine within us, as well as that of those around us. We love it for that, but sometimes that course needs to change slightly. Here's the truth. No one will be comfortable as long as a woman is experiencing discomfort. I want to say that again and shout it from the rooftops. No one will be comfortable if there is a woman who is uncomfortable. When you experience discomfort, that is your intuition saying something needs to change, and everyone needs to rally to that. So rather than repressing it, respond to it, answer it. When we bring it up, people are going to be uncomfortable too, because it means whatever they're doing needs to be adjusted, and sometimes adjustments can be uncomfortable. Ultimately, it's going to lead to greater connection, comfort, your own creativity, source of joy, your sense of safety, security. And when people cherish you, your emotions, and honor your intuition, they trust your intuition, you are living in a sacred and satisfied world. Now, quick note. When you are uncomfortable, when your intuition comes up, rather than nagging or complaining, nobody likes that, try to focus on solutions. Try to focus on what would be a resolution to this source of discomfort. And actually, this is an excellent point of collaboration. When your intuition brings up discomfort, when you know the course needs to be corrected, the greatest resource for you as a feminine woman is actually the masculine, to get that course corrected and then head down that path. And again, whether that's the masculine within you or your masculine counterparts, that beautiful collaboration, that yin yang, that polarity working together is what creates balance in the world. And that is how you embark on the path of satisfaction. Remember, satisfaction is you getting your wishes and needs fulfilled. It happens when you have the 4 keys met, that you are trusted and you trust yourself, that you're cherished by the masculine either within you or outside of you, and that you have a sense of safety and security in whatever way you define that. That's how you feel joy and pleasure and expressiveness and vitality through your body. That's how you engage in creativity, which is the source of everything new in this world. So if you want to create a new world for yourself, if you want the license to have that kind of creativity, then these 5 steps are going to help you. The source of your creativity, the value of no, stop giving so many fucks, emotions are better out than in, and make intuition your best friend. All right, my dear satisfied woman, thank you so much for your time and for listening to this podcast. Until next time, please join me in my community at thesatisfiedwoman.com.